thought we could ever pull it off or that it would ever be agreed, but we did it together. And this, honourable members, this is the true story of the pandemic, not what the authors of this motion are trying to make of it. We should all be proud of it, and we can never let extremists rewrite history. And, honourable members, I bring you back to these moments because you cannot find them anywhere in the motion in front of you. And yet,
President von der Leyen, give me a second. Okay, all of you screaming. Excuse me. What? Excuse me. I have I let your colleague speak for much longer than his allotted time. Okay, so now we'll let the President of the Commission speak for as long as she needs to defend her motion.
I bring you back to these moments because you cannot find them anywhere in the motion in front of us. And yet, they are the essential backdrop to what we are discussing here today, because they show the unique and unprecedented nature of the situation we were in, how Europe came together after member states gave us a mandate to act, how it was this Parliament that immediately ensured the continuation of plenary debates to keep our European democracy active. And thanks to this, we had many debates in this House in the most difficult of moments. And these were so important, because it meant that at every step of the way, we discussed openly and transparently with this House, with member states, with European citizens. It was all out there in the public domain. So yes, it is no secret that I was in contact with top representatives of the companies producing the vaccines that would get us out of the crisis. Of course I was, just as I sought advice from the best epidemiologists or virologists in the world. Or I was in touch with the United Nations organizations or with NGOs. But the implication that these contracts were somehow inappropriate or against the European interest is, by any measure, simply wrong. So, let me set the facts straight once again, and for you it's important to listen to that. Contract negotiations were conducted by Commission and Member States together. Every single contract negotiated was examined in detail in the capitals before being signed by each of the 27 Member States. There were no secrets, no hidden clauses, no obligation to buy for Member States. Indeed, just listen. All 27 Member States decided to buy their vaccines on their own will. So any claims that any Member State did not know about the contracts, about the prices or the amounts is dishonest. In fact, let's call it by its name. It is simply a lie. Honourable members, the wider point I want to make today is that this Commission will always be ready to work with you and to be transparent with you. And this is why, for example, I came to the Conference of Presidents to justify and explain the exceptional use of Article 122 for SAFE, our emergency defence spending proposal. This is exactly what I promised in my guidelines. The point is, I am committed to working with this House every step of the way. And I want to say that I hear your concerns loud and clear. And I will always be ready to be open about our work and find common solutions with pro-Europeans, pro-democratic forces in this House. And I will always respect the prerogative of this House, because this spirit of compromise is what democracy is about. But we should be under no illusion about the threats our democracy faces. We have entered into an age, and you hear it there, of struggle between democracy and illiberalism. We see the alarming threats from extremist parties who want to polarize our societies with disinformation. There is no proof that they have any answer, but there's ample proof that many are supported by our enemies and by their puppet masters in Russia or elsewhere. What we hear from you are movements fueled by conspiracies, from anti-vaxxers to Putin apologists, and you only have to look at some of the signatories of this motion to understand what I mean. But the real question here is, what do we do about it? I believe it is up to us to come together, find balanced compromises, and deliver for people. Because the rise of illiberal and populist politics does not happen in a vacuum. So the answer can never be to complain about how people voted. It must always be to show that we understand and that we will address their legitimate concerns. And this is what this Commission and this Parliament have been laser-focused on doing since the very first day the College took office. Thanks to this team behind me, this College that you elected, we are delivering on an ambitious programme that this House voted on, whether making historic steps towards defence and security, or boosting our competitiveness through the Clean Industrial Deal, whether sticking to our climate targets, or attracting the best researchers in the world to choose Europe. Future enlargement, or protecting our farmers and our fishers, as well as the land and the sea they rely on. Whether addressing climate change, the housing crisis, focusing on skills and education today in our long-term budget. I will always protect the rule of law and the core values of our Union. And that's what really matters to the people of Europe. That's what they want us to discuss here in this House. So let's not play the games of the extremists. Let's stand up for Europe and let's deliver for Europeans together. I want to finish by addressing all pro-Europeans, pro-democracy forces in this House. I know that we do not always agree on every detail of every proposal this College has made. And I cannot promise that we will always agree on everything in the future. But what I can promise is that we will always be ready to work for compromise and work for unity. When the Commission sits down with the United States to negotiate on trade and tariffs, Europe must show strength. When we stand up for Ukraine's future, Europe must show strength. Or when we go to China to defend our interests, Europe must show strength. And this strength only comes through our unity. So let us come together. Let us keep delivering for Europe. Long live Europe. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now I give the floor to the different political groups. We start with the EPP group. Manfred Weber, 4 minutes.
Madam President of the European Parliament, Madam President of the Commission, dear Commissioners, dear colleagues. With this motion of censure, we are wasting time. Putin will like it, what his friends are doing here. Let's be brief from my EPP point of view. We will unanimously vote against this motion of censure on Thursday. Corona, Ursula von der Leyen said in us, we respect and we applaud the leadership Commission in the last mandate showed to rescue lives. But what this motion of censure means for tomorrow, what really is at risk on Thursday. In a few days, Donald Trump's tariff pause will end. Millions of jobs are at risk. Where are the MAGA friends in this House? Where is Orban, Salvini and Alice Weidel doing to save the job of Europeans? ? I tell you, Maroš Šefčovič and Ursula von der Leyen are defending the jobs of Europeans. That's why the motion of censure is taking the citizens' interests at risk. A second example, the future of millions of farmers and mayors, researchers are depending on European funds, also in Romania, I have to say. We need immediately now an MFF proposal. The motion of censure goes against the interests of farmers, mayors and researchers. And the third example, Putin is testing us every day. We need a European pillar of defense now. We need it urgently. And Putin's ambitions go much beyond Ukraine. He hates our European way of life. And I know the German AfD and the Romanian Aura are the puppets of Putin. But why is now peace joining this pro-Russian alliance? I'm wondering myself why this is happening. This motion of censure is against the security of Europeans. So we will vote against. We have now the first year of this mandate. Let's use also today's discussion for more general remarks. We have to clarify from an EPP point of view. First, we as EPP, we stand for European democracy. We saved the lead candidate concept. Von der Leyen is today Commission President, not negotiated behind closed door, but because EPP won the elections and she was our lead candidate. Teresa Ribera, Stéphane Séjourné and also Ursula von der Leyen represent a balanced Commission based on an election of 200 million voters last year. Secondly, we know where we can build up future. In around 90% of all local votes in the last 12 months, we voted together in the platform. That's the truth, and that is what we stick to. The third point I want to make. We as oldest group in that House, we respect its political culture. And the European Parliament is not Westminster. May I remind you, on the last term, there was a debate about nature restoration law, about the combustion engine. And yes, the left policies were voted in favour without a platform agreement here in this House. And yes, this happens also today. The famous Venezuela resolution. We found a compromise on nearly everything, but finally the question whether we call Maduro a dictator was a splitting point. We were voting in favour of calling him a dictator. Socialists didn't do so. And dear friends, also for the Green Claim Directive, on content, a pre-approval of all ads from big companies is for us a bureaucratic monster. Others can vote for it. The EPP will not vote for it. And I tell you, that is not misusing democracy. That is exactly democracy. It shows different identities in our House. And again, to be precise, 90% in the platform, and I tell you in 3% of all local votes in the last 12 months, yes, there was a majority between EPP, ECR and PFE. But in the rest of the 7% of the votes on local votes here in this House, there was a majority between left majority and PFE against the EPP. That are the facts. And that's why I consider really to stop the debate we had in the last weeks about our credibility and our will to work together. Finally, dear friends, the EPP has a clear red line, pro-Europe, pro-Ukraine, pro-rule of law. Others follow now our definition. Tusk against Kaczynski, Peter Magyar against Orban. In Czechia, Fiala, together with the EPP friends, against Babiš. We are often the only chance to stop the authoritarian wave in Europe, and that's why we don't need any lesson in fighting against right populism in Europe as EPP. But, and that's my final point, but as a precondition for winning against the authoritarian, we have to listen to people. Emmanuel Macron was critical to the 2040 target. And the incoming Danish socialist presidency asks for further tougher measures against illegal migration. And that's why I tell you the EPP will take the people's concern in the centre of politics in the next 4 years. I thank the commissioners, Teresa Ribera, Stefan Séjourné and Ursula von der Leyen for their great work. They can count on the continued support of the European People's Party. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now I give the floor to the chair of the S&D Group, Irache Garcia Perez. 4 minutes.
Gracias.
Thank you, President. Ms von der Leyen, sorry to have to say this, but every time Manfred Weber stands up to speak about this motion of censure, he actually causes more problems for you. Anyway, as President of the Social Democratic Group, I want to make it clear from the outset that this motion led by the far right will not receive the support of my group. Not because we defend the entirety of the Commission's course, but because we will not give a single vote to those who, like Orban, Le Pen and Abascal, want to destroy the European Union. This motion is not an act of scrutiny. It is a reactionary assault on the heart of the European project. And in the face of this assault, there can be no doubt we will stand where we have always stood, in defence of the European values of dignity, freedom, democracy and equality. Mr. Weber, it's rather ironic that you have been spending a year trying to defend pro-European groups, that ECR is a pro-European group, and now a member of the ECR has stood up here to defend a motion of censure in the European Commission. It's rather ironic, isn't it? How can we build Europe with climate change deniers, those who attack the 2030 agenda, those who despise science, want to silence women, defend Nazism, dismantle public services, or ally themselves with Putin and Netanyahu to destroy international law and annihilate Ukraine and Gaza? The far right does not want a better Europe. It wants there to be no Europe. What we want as Social Democrats, however, has to some extent been achieved. We've built the European Union brick by brick. We have combated authoritarianism, and we will continue to defend a Europe that protects, cares and liberates. But Mr. Weber, let me be very clear. This motion is also the direct result of the failure of your totally misguided strategy in the European Parliament. They ask pro-European groups to be responsible while they negotiate policies with the far right. Sorry, but it's not on. We need to continue working. Didn't you vote with the far right to block the ethics body? Wasn't it you who joined forces with the radicals to dismantle the Green Deal, launch a witch hunt against environmental NGOs, remove references to the child guarantee? Isn't it your group that uses the Petitions Committee to attack governments that are not from your political group, such as the governments of Spain or Slovenia? I think that's food for thought. And Ms von der Leyen, don't look the other way. Why did you announce your intention to withdraw the Green Claims Directive 1 day after the People's Party and the far right demanded it in a letter? To whom do you owe your support? Where is the commitment you made to the pro-European majority to preside over the Commission? No, the People's Party, I say to you today, who do you want to govern with? Do you want to govern with those who want to destroy Europe, or those of us who fight every day to build it? Respect the legislative agreement. Respect your word. And if you betray it once again, be clear that social democracy will lead the resistance. We will not give an inch, because in the face of hatred, in the face of lies, in the face of destruction, our response will be more Europe, not less, more democracy, not less, more justice, not less. Thank you very much.
Thank you.